was like, oh, technology.
Oh, we love technology, right?
Sometimes I
Until
wonder.
we- until we don't.
And I mute it on the YouTube, right?
I believe so. As long as you don't get feedback.
We are live.
Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Governance Committee of the Tompkins County Industrial Development Agency on November 20th, 2025. Welcome, everybody. I just note, is there anybody online who wishes to address the committee? Seeing none.
Who's Reg?
Russ.
Oh. We'll just call him Reg from now.
Yeah,
I've been called worse. Trust me, Deb.
Undoubtedly.
okay. We have a few items to consider on our agenda. The first is that there was a new law requiring IDAs to consider childcare as one of the aspects of project applications. And the packet on page 3 has a proposed question to add to our application. Will the project owner, operator, and/or tenant provide on-site employee childcare or other benefit to support employee childcare needs? Question mark, explain. Where did that come from?
So this question, well, first off, the question for review regarding on-site childcare came from a notice that was published from Harris Beach Murtha in early 2025, and it was shared through Harris Beach Murtha. And I perused other IDA applications and community benefit memos and saw that the question has been incorporated into the application. And that seems to be pretty much the most standard way of incorporating the information. And this is pretty much the most standard way to to address the question is to put it in the application. So that's where
So it's in other applications.
it is. It's in Steuben County. They use incorporate the question in the application, as does Genesee County as well.
Okay. Russ, do you have anything to add on that?
No, it's not a requirement that childcare services be provided, of course, but it's a considering factor that the board needs to at least address. And it may evolve, and there's no legal requirement that you really do anything, but we just for optics more than anything else have recommended that this question be asked within the 4 corners of the application.
Okay. Deborah, Duxon, anything to add? Duxon?
Was there a date by which we had to have included this, and were we out of compliance at any point?
No, it's required to be, you're not out of compliance. I mean, I guess it should have been in the application a little bit earlier, but there's not going to be any issue with it being put in there now. In fact, I think it's on certain projects where you're not going to have childcare services at a solar project necessarily, but I thought it was talked about at Southworks, if I recall correctly. So it's something that I think the board has considered and talked about for projects where it might be appropriate to consider whether or not those types of services are being provided. So to answer your question, Duxon, no, I don't think there's any issue with putting it in there now.
Great.
And I have highlighted it in the community benefit memos on projects that have come before the board as well. It just hasn't been in the application. So.
And are you aware of any IDA that does more than ask a question? Like if they have a scoring system, there's a point for it or something?
I am not.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering why we'd ask the question if we just ignored the answer, but stranger things have happened in bureaucratic America. So, okay.
Certainly that was one factor with Southworks that I thought was pretty innovative and neat, was that but they're big enough.
Well, and in a large multi-use development, childcare becomes a bigger issue, I think.
Sure. What's the name of if it has a name, the INHS project where family medicine used to be? They will have childcare, and that's certainly a positive.
What, the one up in Truman's?
No, at State and Geneva
Oh, are they doing a project there?
on the abandoned medical office.
So across from Block 14?
Yes,
Oh,
INHS will do senior focused housing and childcare on the ground floor if they can find a provider, which I know is a big.
are they going to come to the IDA on that, do you think?
I don't know, but that would be like an ideal thing, right? That would be not a formal factor, but I think most, if not all, of the board would view it as a positive.
Certainly. I don't see any problem with adding this question.
No, I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I thought for placement on page 4, I didn't include an application in the packet, but on page 4, which would fall under the project description and details section, below the question that asks, will this project result in a regular increase in overnight visitors to your facility, e.g. for training programs? And then the answers to that question, we could put it under there and before the occupancy question or section.
Yeah. Okay. Anything further on that issue? Then we go to the enhanced energy policy review. And of course, we've had this in place, anticipating upgrades in what the energy policy would be, and we've reached that time so that it's now sort of redundant. Well, it is redundant to what a developer is required to do anyway. So it seems to me the question is, do we still have it, or do we set some further requirement that they could meet to get an enhanced incentive? But I don't know what that would be at this point.
Right. I was discussing that with Russ a bit about what we do at this stage. Because we've reached the date cutoff, the expiration of the policy, and B, because New York State has paused the requirement of being all electric by 2026.
It's probably a good idea.
Yes. And Russ had some thoughts about maybe pausing our policy on enhanced energy, and maybe just kind of waiting to see how things shake out, or we can just extend the dates, the expiration dates of the policy. So I'd open that up for.
Actually, if we can get in the time machine and go back a moment, do we need to vote on adding that question?
Yes. Yes, we do.
We ready to vote? All those in favor?
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
So when we do that, do we move it to the board?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So can I ask, because I want to be sure I understand what you just said, that the state's requirements, energy requirements for developments generally now have reached a point where the basic state requirement is already where our enhanced energy policy is. So the issue then becomes, why should we give them an enhanced credit when they have to do this anyway? Is that the question?
Yeah, I think one answer to that is because it's still really expensive to meet those goals. So can a developer absorb that cost? But it's not they're not stretching. It's what they have to do, but the
Yes.
projects haven't become cheaper. So I think what we might want to do is not use this, but maybe think about our basic formula if we're factoring in all of these additional costs on projects.
So just to be clear, so this memo mentions a lot about the Ithaca's energy code, so the cities. Has the states, just want to confirm what Deborah's asking, has the state standards risen up to the cities? Because if they haven't, then yes, in the city, you are now required to meet the 2025 and then eventually the 2030 level goals, but if the state isn't there yet, then there may still be like a
A
reasonable
space.
incentive.
Yeah.
Right. That I need to find out. Let me check on that, the state level. Because I believe Ithaca's is,
Oh, I'm sorry, you know what? And the town, that's right, we worked on this. I was on this group, so I should remember. The town worked on this with us too, so they also adopted it. So it's the city and the town. Sorry.
and that the latest update was 2023 for that, for the Ithaca Energy Supplement, which stated that it needed to adhere to January 2026 requirements.
Yeah, I think clarity on local versus state would be helpful
Okay.
because there still may be some room for non-town and city.
Okay.
Well, maybe we need to think about this a little bit more.
Yeah,
And-
I think we need that information and we need to know how much higher the city and town standards are, because maybe we need to have these enhanced incentive levels specifically for city and town projects, whereas we wouldn't so much if it was elsewhere in the county.
Yeah. I'm looking at these percentages.
I mean, they're pretty generous.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm trying to remember how we did arrive at these percentages and what the calculations were.
And this was done back in 2020.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm still
around.
thinking, regardless of whether they're stretching to meet something, they still have the cost. And are we properly incentivizing standard projects on a 7-year cycle if they've just become that much more expensive to meet energy goals?
Mhm.
I don't know. I think we should probably look at that. But that's a different question than we're looking at today. Maybe our answer today is we should pause this while we gather more information.
Yeah, that's,
But consider it in a broader context of our general formula too.
And for us to
If I
other,
may, remember, if you pause this and while we, for lack of a better way, trying to figure out what's going on, what the town and city requires and what's going on at the state, just because you don't have a policy or a policy's been paused, you're pretty much free to impose upon or provide whatever pilot you want for a particular project. So if you have a unique situation where a project comes in and they're wanting to do something and they're reaching a much higher threshold than is required, you can, at your discretion, then consider that when you're discussing the incentive package. So by
So say-
pausing, it doesn't
yeah.
necessarily limit what you can and can't do.
Yeah, so if somebody came in and said, I want to do a geothermal project for my building and it's going to be, carbon zero. We probably could, it would make sense to think about giving them an enhanced incentive.
but we should have some schedules of enhanced incentives so that if we make an exception,
Picking stuff
we're not just pulling it out of our ears
or else.
or elsewhere.
Russ, does any other IDA in the state that you're familiar with have a, similar energy incentive?
Off the top of my head, Duxon, I don't know, but I certainly can find out. We have a bi-weekly practice group call that I will raise, and I think there's one next Wednesday, it doesn't get canceled before Thanksgiving. But I could also send an email, but I just don't know the answer to that off the top of my head.
Appreciate it.
None that
Thanks.
I'm aware of.
Certainly our policy is, developers have taken advantage of it, and I think we've gotten some really energy efficient buildings as a result. So I think it's been effective.
But, you said things aren't getting cheaper. It's costing more to build in compliance with these standards. But isn't the affordability and the need for incentives factored in as part of Kelly's analysis when she brings us a project? I don't know that they,
But we've got the standard 7 years,
yeah,
and if that's what's provided, it may not be enough for a builder to also do all the insulation and.
And that's where we can look at the
compliance.
10-year for financial need.
Okay,
So you can.
it's not keyed into an energy standard so much as it is to an affordability standard.
Right, so.
That makes more sense
The
to me.
7-year and it's
I guess that's
still
what I was trying to say.
too much.
And maybe we keep these schedules or something like them, but revise the written policy to say that.
Well, yeah, that would make sense to me because there might be more reasons than simply complying with energy requirements for a project to be unaffordable on a standard 7-year incentive schedule.
Yeah. Certainly if a project comes in and it doesn't really have standard energy or normal energy use things, say an ice rink, for example.
Says the hockey player.
I don't know why I picked that one, but I guess I was thinking of something cold. But then there's compressors. Anyway, it doesn't matter. As opposed to an apartment building where,
Yeah,
you've got all these standards to measure the energy efficiency of a residential unit that don't exist in other applications. How about a golf course? There, golf course wants to come in and do an economic.
data center. I heard a rumor.
That meeting was fun last night.
Did you go?
Yeah. They pulled the moratorium.
They pulled it.
I read. Interesting.
So, but different subject. We're on an agenda here. Why don't we think about rewriting our enhanced energy incentive policy to say we have our standard incentive, but the enhanced incentive remains available upon proof of financial need to meet the energy requirements.
Energy and other building requirements. Yeah, and then instead of having it be an enhanced energy incentive, it's just an enhanced incentive to meet exigencies, cost exigencies, or whatever, however you want to put it.
Well, we're,
I know we're inviting everybody to cry poor.
I think you may end up with some real difficulty coming out of that, but
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I mean, you've been doing this much longer than me.
yeah, but we do want to capture what you're talking about, and I don't know quite how to do it.
Well, we don't have to do it. We don't have to figure it out today. I mean, we could think about it.
That's an idea.
I know it's
Sometime.
not terribly popular, but yeah, it just seems like it should be a policy that allows for special circumstances. Environmental remediation.
Yeah.
Energy. Yeah. The conditions, site conditions that require, I mean, other than environmental remediation, but
That-
site conditions that
Kind of like the solar project we just looked at where they said, we're going to have to connect.
exactly.
Okay. Yeah, infrastructure, site conditions, environmental, particular energy conservation needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are any number of legitimate reasons why a project would be more expensive than if it was somewhere else.
Right.
Makes sense. Did we do anything special for the Breeze? Did they do a 10-year?
Probably.
That's what they've done, if you don't remember. Yeah.
And how about the dean?
Right.
No, that one was a 7-year.
How long ago was that?
Not that long.
No. Mm-mm. It
And we just had a
expires in
question about-
2030. Yeah, they just did an article on it.
Oh, they're filing for.
I didn't see
Mhm. Well, they're in foreclosure.
the Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rost is a mess.
Ross State is dad.
Oof.
So I'll do some more research on other policies that are out there and connect with Russ.
Does that make sense to you, Russ?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And again, by putting the policy on pause, I agree that if you're gonna have a policy, this one needs to be updated. But it sounds like, understandably so, you want some more information, and we can gather that. And like I said, I can ask around and certainly find out if other IDAs are doing the same thing or have a similar policy in place and what they're doing with that, given the current status.
So these schedules should be like brackets that somebody could come in and say, here's my increased financial need.
But they have to show legitimate increased financial need based on factors that we put in the policy. I don't want everybody coming in and saying, oh, it's so expensive to build, I need an enhanced. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But say, I'm gonna put daycare in. You give, I'd give an enhancement for that.
I would. I would too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that might be a way for us to look at, I say we, you guys, to look at,
Oh, I'm going to be calling you all the time.
City Harbor. That there were lots of public amenities that was really going to do some nice things for that area of the city. That might justify an enhancement beyond the energy stuff, which they were doing, which was pretty cool too. They were tapping into the wastewater. I don't know if this was before your time on the IDA, but they were taking the wastewater.
Yeah, it was before my time.
But in fact, Guthrie is using that. So they're heating their building and cooling their building with, water temperature from the wastewater.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, so this is what the governance committee does.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Okay. So what we're going to look to is redraft this policy to be more broad. I think we need to rename it.
Yeah,
It's
some kind of
an enhancement policy.
an enhancement for exigent circumstances. You can call it
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
An enhanced incentive policy, but we should be really careful what we're.
Specific about what the exigent
And
circumstances.
so, yes, special infrastructure needs, special site conditions, environmental remediation, energy, hitting extraordinary energy efficiency goals, childcare, public amenities.
Yep. I mean, we were in DC a few months ago and I was staying out in Pentagon City across the bridge from DC. And they had developed it. I mean, it just went out of control since I lived there, but admittedly, that was a long time ago. But there were all these high rises, but there were park areas everywhere in between these high rises and playgrounds and amenities for families. And, it would be nice if we could get something like that here. So, I mean, yeah, public amenities would be a good reason.
I'll stop.
why don't, if it's okay with you guys, over the course of the next few weeks, Kelly and I can take a cut at it.
That'd
And
be great.
and then bring it back to this committee when it next meets, because I think my recommendation would be, let's get at the governance level, get the policy, whatever we're gonna call it, in the shape and format that you guys think is best to recommend to the board, knowing that there's gonna be some changes potentially to the board, forthcoming. So I'm happy to work with Kelly on that.
Okay, the one thing is, there's certainly going to be a lot of learning curve and disruption at the beginning of the year. Is this something we'd want to try to push a little bit and address at our December meeting? Up to you guys. Because you're probably both going to still be there.
Yeah.
So you can take this and do what you want, but
You're gonna be there
Wow.
too. If
Yeah.
Kelly and I have our way.
I mean, yes, that makes sense, but also it's the holidays and you two can take your time. Like it's not.
okay. So
Well, I mean, if you can do it, yeah, it'd be great if we could do it in December. If you can't, you can't.
Yeah.
Like Doc's right. This time of year, it's insane.
What we could do is Kelly and I could get a draft of it done well in advance of next month's meeting and get it to this committee, give you time to digest it and comments back, and then we can basically have it in final form and then have a 5-minute formal meeting where you make a recommendation to the board that the policy be modified as approved by the committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds great. But again, don't kill yourself.
yeah, we could even do a 5-minute mean before the IDA meeting.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
But I think it
Just
should be
remember,
in
I have to
substantially.
digest my Thanksgiving dinner, so.
I think it should be in substantially final form before you guys, formally reconvene
Yeah.
as a committee.
Okay.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
all right,
Okay.
that's good. What's the IDA FOIL policy?
At the IDA Academy, it was recommended by the ABO that each IDA have their own FOIL policy.
Hmm.
The way that it currently operates is that if the Tompkins County IDA is foiled, we follow the county's policy. So I spoke with Russ and he said that they could get a FOIL policy drafted for the Tompkins County IDA without problem. So I just wanted to bring that to your
That would
attention.
follow the county policy or our own?
The policy is basically that we're going to comply with all applicable law. The fact that we have to have a standalone policy that we cannot usurp law with anyway, we're going to follow the law. I mean, it's just, I don't get it.
He's all in favor of this, as you can tell.
You can have a
He's
policy,
very
but you got to follow the law,
excited.
We had a
So
great
we'll get
conversation.
something, we'll get you something that other IDAs, in fact, we just updated Steuben County's policies. I don't know if we made any changes to their FOIL policy, but I will get you and Kelly, your team, one that I think will work.
That'd be great. Okay. There, I feel like we've worked really hard.
Uh,
I think we do need to vote on that.
Okay. So we want to get a new FOIL policy and direct Russ to,
Yay.
okay, all those in favor?
Thank
Right.
you.
Okay, and then we have TCIDA board appointments discussion. As you all know, there was the legislation to go from 7 to 9, which did not pass the Senate. And so, or the Assembly, I can't remember. I think it was the Senate it didn't pass. Anyway, it's not in place. So it's likely that'll happen this year, but it doesn't really impact what will need to happen for 2026. And all we can do is, if we wish, is make recommendations to the legislature and whoever's the chair on appointments.
So is this where we say 3 legislators, 1 at large, somebody from the city? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, Russ, is this an appropriate conversation to have an executive session if we're going to name specific individuals?
He's muted.
Sorry, I had someone in my office I had to mute for a second.
That's all right. Let me
Yeah,
ask
I
again.
think, I think it is something that probably, if you're gonna be, putting names forward that will be recommended to the county for potential board seats, then yes, I think that is appropriate for an executive session discussion.
Yeah, I'd feel more comfortable, I think, because I would like to name some names. Um, How about you guys? Does that make sense to you?
That's fine.
Okay, so I would ask for us to vote to go into executive session, and for the benefit of anybody in the public who's watching us, I don't anticipate us taking any action afterwards. This is the last item on our agenda. Is there anything else, Kelly, that we need to cover?
There is not.
Okay,
I'll move.
move. Duxon, you want to second that?
Yep.
Okay,